Tonight, you get to hear from a couple who recently went through our mentoring program. Ryan and Leah came in for the first time in October of 2020, having basically hit rock bottom in their marriage when Ryan admitted to Leah a few days before their first meeting that he had been unfaithful. Their mentor couple, Steve and Judy, spent about 4.5 hours with them that first night they met to start working through if and how they could save their marriage. They have 3 young children, as you can see in this picture, which was a motivator on top of the love they have for one another. I'm going to let them take it from here and tell you their story of where they were at in October of 2020 and where they are now.
So when you guys, when you first met the first night, where was your marriage at? And where were your friends?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I think marital counseling, as probably a lot of guys feel, isn't something you need. We can figure this out because guys know everything. So that's what I tried to do for quite a while. I tried to take the easier path, avoid conflict. I'm tired. I don't want to deal with this discussion right now, so be very agreeable. And I'm going to continue watching my show or do whatever. And well, eventually you push that stuff under the rug, it starts piling up. And our rug was getting too many lumps in it. The distance was further than I think we ever intended to go. And so when I came in, I was very closed off, emotionally numb. I didn't really feel bad or feel anything. I was seasoning myself to think that way over time. And so when I came in, I didn't have expectations. I was coming in here to do this because we need help. And several days before we ended up at Great Marriages, I knew it was coming up on my anniversary. I knew we had made an appointment to come to Great Marriages and seek counseling. And I knew I wasn't going to go into another year living a lie. And so I wasn't sure how or what I was going to say, but I had gotten myself into some trouble, emotional trouble. Our marriage was struggling, and I was self-sabotaging myself every way possible. Emotionally withdrawing from her, physically withdrawing from her. We were roommates. We were living together. So when I came in, that's the place I was at, and they did not know that at this point. So we came in with some serious baggage.
Pretty checked out. So, as I said before, for about a year, before August before, it was really kind of when I made that realization that I think this is bad. I don't want it to get worse, and I love you, and we have 3 kids, and like way too much to fight for. So, and it had just been a really long haul. And like I said, when I called Great Marriages, I had a lot of really bad, lonely nights, and a lot of long drives on Highway 57 to see some pretty incredible billboards that were really good reminders and good music and things that would encourage me to stay faithful to my commitment. And my husband reminded me of how much I loved him and that it was worth the fight. But I was tired, and I think I was starting to withdraw a little bit myself because I just out of self-preservation. But when I realized that I wasn't the only woman in my husband's life at that time, I realized how God
pretty much. I had to just push everything up until that point behind me and do everything that I could to try to get my husband to fall in love with me again and to remember why he married me in the first place and to remind him that I love him still. So, 2 days after I found out, we found ourselves at a table with Steve and Judy. And obviously that's not really enough time to process everything fully. So while I was in a probably still a state of shock, I was there to do some serious business with the devil and the Lord. So that's pretty much it.
Can you guys talk about how that looked for you guys to bring in not only forgiveness, but the trust issues? How do you learn? What did you guys do to go through the process of trusting one another again?
Honestly, the overwhelming thing that just comes to mind for me is that, well, two things. You got to show up. You just have to show up every day in many ways. And Ryan has done that. He really has. So that has been huge for me.
How's he showing up for you?
Well, I felt like a single parent in a lot of ways and for a long time. And so in, in regard to the kids and just he's just gone a lot. And he really just kind of kicked it into gear and started pulling his weight and checking in with me, just communicating. Really, we were passing each other by a lot most of the time. And there's just one thing that I want to say about trust that I learned pretty early on into our sessions with Steve and Judy, just that, there were things they were encouraging Ryan that he could or should maybe do to try to help me along and healing and kind of reestablishing that trust. But I realized, while I could wake up every day and ask to see his phone, or any number of things, questions, things that I could ask to try to make that happen, I realized trust is something that you have to choose. And I knew it wasn't going to be healthy for me to stay in that place of just constantly second guessing him and mistrusting him. And from day one, from that first meeting that we had, I felt like I saw a real change in his heart. I saw parts of him that I don't know if I'd ever seen before come out that evening. And so, yeah, you got to decide and you got to act.
Just to kind of add on to that, she said when we came into this, obviously we can't fit everything in that we went through with Steve and Judy here for 12 weeks. The first time we met with them, we met for 4 hours. I showed up for a 1-hour counseling appointment and we were there until 9:30 at night in an 8x8 room. There's no running. It's about to get real uncomfortable in here. And that's exactly what needed to happen was to get real uncomfortable and get real honest and to be called out on your BS. We were knee to knee and eye to eye, staring straight into each other's eyes. And it was powerful. If you haven't done that with your significant other, I would highly recommend it. We listened to a song and by the end of that night, it was, as we've discussed, we can't even really put into words what happened. It was 100% a God thing. There's no I mean, the presence of good and evil was so thick. It was like fog. It was like fog in the room. And I was getting pulled in both directions. And I didn't want to get pulled in the other direction anymore. So I would just say for men, if this is you, if this is something you're struggling with, man up and take it on the chin. It sucks, but I would do it again. And this is a brave woman right here, and a strong woman. And I'm thankful. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Leo, what was the turning point? Was there a moment? I mean, because you were really fighting this. Tell us about the moment when you saw this new guy show up.
So like Ryan said, they played Lead Me by Sanctus Real. Judy was over one shoulder and Steve was over the other with his phone. And, you know, we had our hands on each other's heart. And as Ryan said, knee to knee, and they forced eye contact. And at this point, I was recovering from a panic attack and I was shaking so violently. So I was kind of coming down from that, but basically just weeping into my husband's eyes. And I felt like I was staring into my husband's soul. I felt like I had been given a window in that I hadn't seen in a very long time. And pretty much the lyrics of that song, if you haven't heard it, they were just like, those were the cries of my heart. And in the middle of the song, the only thing that I said was this, but looking in his eyes, and I said, through many, many tears, I said, come back to me. And I felt like in that moment, there was something that started to soften and something that started to hope that that was even possible. So that was honestly, that moment in particular was something that on my drive home that night, I felt like I wasn't even going to, interestingly enough, like I kind of made this vow to myself, I wasn't going to tell that to anybody because it felt almost sacred, but it's so important because it was really real. And in almost 10 years of marriage, I had never experienced intimacy like that with my husband.
Please don't mistake the simpleness of this, because they fought to fight for one another. They fought for one another's hearts. He manned up. He went to her mom and dad and asked for their forgiveness. I've never seen such a cool family support. We encouraged them to get a bullpen of people. You guys know, for like pitchers, you have a whole bunch of different pitchers, somebody with a curveball, somebody with a fastball. We asked them to man up and to have a God squad of girls who, during those really dark moments where you didn't think you were going to get through, that these people helped carry them. And I know there's people in here that they counted on, and your prayers and the churches and the people that came out to support them. Even now we're getting stories of, even before they knew what happened with Ryan, there were people praying for him. So it's just some really cool God moments. So if there's some people sitting out here tonight and they're listening to your story and they are hearing the sadness and the cry of your heart, and they're maybe experiencing that, what hope can you offer to them?
Show up. Show up every day. Every day you wake up, show up. Decide to show up. Be intentional. Be intentional with what you're doing. Be intentional with your time. It's hard. It's hard. We've had plenty of bad days in between. Now we're still fighting now. There's times that we have to, speak truth into each other and fight. We're not up here saying like, hey, we made it. This is what it looks like if you could come here, because we're in the trenches still. But show up and fight and be prepared to fight. This isn't easy. That's why people quit, and anyone could quit. We could quit too. But we have 3 kids, and I don't want to quit on them. I don't want to quit on her. And that's the easy road out. I didn't want to be number 340 in Sheboygan County.
I love him. I also just want to say, reiterate, I was truly desperate. I was kind of beyond the point of hope, and Jocelyn was my light for a good little bit there, where I just was hanging on by a thread. And she would text me and just say, "Don't give up, don't give up. There's hope, there's hope." And knowing what it feels like to have been in that place where I felt like I had tried everything. I had tried to be what he needed, really never having any idea what that was or what he wanted, or if I was what he wanted. But I was fighting for a long time, doing everything that I could, and to no avail, really, because the Lord was who had to do the work. But these people right here are so incredibly skillful in the way that they facilitated what started the repair of our relationship. And I was ready to literally pay whatever we had to pay so that somebody could help us. And when I realized that that wasn't even an obstacle that was standing in our way, I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. And there's literally no price tag. There's no price tag that you can put on the value of a marriage staying intact, and the lasting impact that can potentially have on children who are involved, and just have a huge family, have the most incredible family. And I've played out many scenarios in my head where if things had gone differently, how all of their lives would have been impacted. So there is hope, even, I promise, when you think it is lost and you are beyond that. And with all things are possible with the Lord, and our life and our relationship is a testimony to that.
Just want to clarify the fighting part. Whereas before they fought, now they're fighting for one another. And I think that's one of the things that we get coached on, all the mentors do, on how to teach people how to fight for one another. Can you tell everybody about the night that you saw him finally come to be your knight in shining armor? Tell us about that moment, please.
There was an afternoon when I homeschool my little girls, and obviously September, October, I was just kind of starting to get into the swing of things, and I was very just the rug was pulled out from underneath my feet, and I could literally barely stand. There were some days when I couldn't. I was in the bath. I found myself on the bathroom floor one day. I think we had been texting when he was at work, and he just came home in the middle of the day and found me in there, because when you have little people who constantly need you, there's no privacy. There was nowhere for me to feel or to fall apart. So for the first few weeks, it was a constant battle just to do the things I had to do to keep my kids safe and healthy, and much less myself. So found myself in there on the bathroom floor, and he came home, and he came and joined me in there, and he got down on his knees, and he met me right where I was at, and he took my face in his hands. I said, I can't. I don't know how to do this. I don't have any fight left. And he said, it's my turn to fight. So holding my face and looking me in the eye, said, it's my turn. You don't have to. It's my turn. And he has. He shows up every single day and he does it. He's kept his word. So nobody in a relationship is beyond hope. And we are and will be grateful forever and ever and ever, as will our children be, for everything that you guys have given us. It's been an incredible gift and blessing. So thank you so much.
For anybody out there who's even considering wanting to be a mentor, it does phenomenal things for your own marriage. As we get to listen to either pre-marrieds or people who are struggling, it just really helps us to process our own stuff. We have walked away from so many of their meetings just feeling everything that they were feeling, because we had been there. And any of you guys who have been married a long time know there's ups and downs. And we need one another. We need to come alongside of the young married couples and help them, to give them some hope. And so again, if anybody's considering it, it's phenomenal for your own marriage. So I just want to thank you guys for letting us fall in love with you. It was so easy to do. You guys were so coachable and so open to learning. It was a real joy. We love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Ryan and Leah for being so vulnerable and sharing with us. I'm very proud of both of them for fighting for their marriage and for their children, to see a mom and a dad who love one another so deeply that they're willing to work through anything together. Please keep them in your prayers as they continue to build trust and heal from the hurts of this past year. If you're sitting there and you or someone you know is interested in our mentoring program, please contact us. We're here for you. Thank you.